Hi students, this is section 3.7, working with formulas and functions. So the first formula we're going to work with is area, the area formula, and I'm sure you've seen this before. And the area formula is area equals length times width. So a question you might see in your bookwork is find a formula for W in terms of A and L. For area and length. So what we're technically solving for here is W. So I'll write out the formula A equals L times W. We're solving for W. So to get rid of my L, the opposite of multiplication is division. So I'll multiply L to both sides. So my formula will now be width equals area over your length. And that will be my answer. But this formula right here is going to help us solve part B. It says, use the new formula to find the width of a rectangle that has an area of 15 square feet and a length of 5 square feet. So they want us to find the width. That's the question. So I'm going to take this formula I solved for here with W equals A over L. And my area is, they're saying 15 feet, square feet I should say. So I will write 15 feet over the length, which is 5 feet. And 15 divided by 5 is going to give me 3. So my width is going to be 3 feet, and that will be my answer. And I can write here the width is 3 feet. The other formula here that we're going to work with is the temperature conversion formula. So this formula here, C represents Celsius, equals 5/9 times degree Fahrenheit minus 32. So that is the temperature formula. And you might have seen this formula in your science class. But what they're wanting us to solve for, they're wanting us to use this formula and solve for F. So what that means is we're getting F all by itself. So let me write out the formula here. We have Celsius equals 5/9 degrees Fahrenheit minus 32. We're solving for F. We want to get that all by itself. So first I need to get rid of this 5/9. To get rid of this, this is 5/9 times what's in the parentheses. I'm going to multiply the 5/9 by the reciprocal here. So if I multiply by 9 over 5, multiply by 9 over 5, I now get 9/5 times C equals degrees Fahrenheit minus 32. I want to get rid of this minus 32, so the opposite of that is add 32 to both sides. So degrees Fahrenheit is going to be 9/5 times C, and I can put that in the parentheses, plus 32, and that'll be my answer. Just want to mention this, if you did put Fahrenheit equals 9/5 C, that's fine too, plus 32. Either answer I would accept for that. Okay, so we've worked with the area formula, we've worked with the temperature formula. We're now going to look at a formula, it's called the simple interest formula. So simple interest, it says the simple interest I of an investment of P dollars at an interest rate R for T years is given by the formula I equals P times R times T. P normally is your starting rate R is represented as a percentage normally. And normally you have to make that become a decimal. Change that to a decimal. And then your T is going to be time. So here it says solve I equals P times R times T for T. So I'll write here I equals P times R times T. Remember when there's no symbols in between each of those variables, you're multiplying? We're solving for T. So I'm going to divide both sides by the P and the R to get T by itself. So P and the R. Whatever I do to one side, remember I have to do the same to the other. So on the right side, that P and R cancel. So my final answer is interest equals principal times my rate, which is going to give me my time. So that's solving for T. What we're doing here is, in the previous sections, we worked with solving equations. We're doing kind of the same thing here, but we're working with variables using the formulas. And sometimes, like for B, they'll give you numbers, and you have to plug in those numbers into the formulas to solve. So for instance, it says find the number of years T. So we're finding the number of years T. That 2,800 was invested to earn 504 at a 4.5% rate. So what our I is right here, our interest is going to be 504. They invested 504. That's my starting rate, or my starting amount. I could even call this amount. So my starting amount is 504. My 2,800 is my, actually, I apologize about that. My 504 is going to be my interest. My 2,800 is my principal. And my 4.5 is my rate. So my principal, my starting amount is 2,800 invested to earn my interest of 504 at a rate of 4.5%. So how I'm going to set this up is I am going to take my interest using this formula. We're solving for T. I take 504 over my principal, which is 2,800, times my rate. Now notice in my notes here I said change that percentage to a decimal. Well, if I have 4.5%, when you have a percentage, to take that percentage and make it a decimal, you can divide by 100, or you can move the decimal 2 places to the left and you'd get 0.045. So we get 2,800 times 0.045. And when I solve this, when I solve this, that's going to be 2,800 times 0.045. That's going to give me 126. So I take 504 divided by 126, and it's going to give me a decimal of about 3.93. But remember, we're talking about T, the number of years. So this is going to be, let's round it to the nearest whole number. So it's going to be about 4 years to invest that money with that rate that you're given. So my answer is going to be about 4 years that we invest that money. We have 2 more slides. The next formula is working with distance. With distance, the formula is D equals R times T. Again, you might have seen this formula in science. Distance times rate times my time. That's what that means. Distance equals my rate times my time. So we're going to use this formula and we're going to solve for T, meaning we're going to get T all by itself. So I'll rewrite the formula, distance equals R times T. Solving for T, so I'm going to divide both sides by R. So T is going to equal my distance divided by my rate, and that is my answer. Last slide here. We're working with the function form, and we're going to see a lot of this coming up. This is going to help us with graphing when we get to that point, so I really need you to pay close attention to this, the function form. When you are given an equation, for instance, here we have 3x plus y equals 4. When they ask you to write this equation in the function form, it's going to be in the form of y equals, we call that ax plus b, where the number connected with x comes first, then the number that stands alone is going to be that plus b. So here we have 3x plus y equals 4, and they want us to write this in function form. So that means getting y by itself here on the left side. So I'm going to subtract 3x to both sides, and I would rewrite that where my answer is going to be y equals negative 3x plus 4. And that's it. That's function form. So let's do an example here. It says rewrite this equation. We have 2x minus y equals 9. So that y is a function of x. You're going to see that kind of question in your bookwork too when you work on that today. It says solve for, what that means is you're solving for y. So if I rewrite this as 2x minus y equals 9, I'm going to subtract 2x to both sides. So I have negative y equals, I'll write it in the ax form, so it's negative 2x plus 9. But I'm not done yet because I have a negative y. So I need to pretend there's like a 1 in front of that y. I'm going to divide negative 1 to both sides, so we have a positive y. So when I solve this, it's going to be y equals, you do have to divide negative 1 to the negative 2 and to the 9. Negative 2 divided by negative 1 is going to give me positive 2x. Then a positive 9 divided by negative 1 is going to give me a negative 9. That will be my answer for part A of this situation. That is it for these notes, and you will be working on some bookwork that relates to what we just covered.